Hey guys, today I'm going to walk you through making my gluten-free no-yeast bagels. These are incredible bagels and they're so much easier to make than yeast bagels. There's no rise time, there's no boiling. It's kind of like a win-win. Anyway, if you're looking for a great bagel option, this is it. I'm going to talk to you about a couple things first. First, if you're in the United States, this Authentic Foods Steve's gluten-free bread blend is the best. It's like magic in a bag, and I don't know what they use in that bag that makes your dough just like gluten dough, where you can work it, braid it, shape it, but it's amazing. I am going to make a special video using a more mainstream blend, probably King Arthur, but if you have a different suggestion, drop it in the comments. I have a lot of gluten-free flour blends in my pantry. And anyway, that'll be a separate video on YouTube, probably not in the blog post, but you can find it easily on my YouTube channel. Anyway, let's get started. First, I'm using 2.5 cups of that magical Steve's bread blend. And then I'm adding to that 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Use aluminum-free baking powder. It makes such a big difference. When you use a lot of baking powder, more than a teaspoon, I'd say, you're gonna end up with some metallic taste. So aluminum-free works just as well, and it doesn't give you that bitter metal taste. And I'm also going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. So I normally add salt, but this Steve's blend contains salt. And I didn't know that at first. I kind of screwed up and I used it and added salt and I couldn't even eat the bagels. So don't add salt if you use the Steve's blend, but if you use any other blend, you definitely do want to add that. So then I'm gonna take my whisk and I'm just gonna whisk everything to blend it all together. It's always good, that way you know the baking powder, soda, and everything really gets distributed well. I'm going to set that aside. One of the key ingredients in this recipe is buttermilk. Free, I'm going to include a great way to make dairy-free buttermilk. It kind of has that same property. I just add a cup of regular dairy-free milk to a tablespoon of lemon juice, and that works really well. There's something about the acidity in this is what helps give it that bagel chewy texture without boiling, so you definitely want to use something. I almost never use buttermilk, and so if I bought a container, it would just go bad in my refrigerator. So I like to use Anthony's buttermilk powder. It stays fresh in the pantry, and you can make as much or as little as you need. So I have my water, and I'm going to try to get this so you can see it in this video. And I'm going to add the buttermilk powder. And then just whisk until you have your buttermilk. I can move it up so you can see it a little better. It whisks right in, and it's pretty quick. It turns into buttermilk. There we go, buttermilk. Now I'm going to pour the buttermilk in, and you can use a stand mixer, and I'm probably going to tell you a stand mixer is way easier than mixing it by hand, especially with this flour blend, but it's really noisy to use. So I'm just mixing it by hand so you can see and hear me. All right, now we're just gonna mix this into dough. One thing about this flour blend is it may look like you have too much liquid, but then it all gets absorbed in. It's kind of part of that magic element of the flour, and I don't know, again, what it is, but it works really well. After mixing it with a spoon as much as you can, I like to use my hands and just get in there and really make sure everything is worked in. A stand mixer would do this for you, but anyway, I'm doing this. And then with this flour blend, I let it sit for a couple minutes, and that way it just fully absorbs everything in. But you can see it's a nice dough. It's something you can roll and work, and it's just really cool. For this next part, you probably won't see me, but I really wanted to give you a close-up of what's going on here. So anyway, as you can see, just letting the dough sit, it's become perfectly workable. It's not sticky at all. And the other thing I love about this flour blend, you do not have to let the batter sit. They mill this flour extra fine so you never get any grittiness. So anyway, I'm gonna plop this here, try to just shape it a little, and then I'm gonna take my cutter and just cut it into 6. And then I have found making bagels that rolling and squishing the ends together definitely works better. I don't know why. I tried poking the holes when I did this with cup for cup, and they got so fat as they were baking. It was kind of crazy. Anyway, so you're just gonna roll this. It's kind of like when you were a kid, or what your kids do when they're playing with Play-Doh. And we're just gonna squish it, keep it tight. Anytime you see holes or anything pop up from rolling it, just push them back. And then roll and pinch the edges, just like that. I'm gonna pop this bagel onto a parchment paper lined cookie sheet. I might take a little of this one and just add that extra dough there. So again, because we're not rising this recipe with yeast, we have a little more time to kind of just make everything perfectly shaped. When you're working with yeast, you only get one good rise, and so you have to kind of be quick when you're shaping things. That's not the case with this recipe. And I just want to say, notice how I'm doing all the shaping and rolling. It's really hard to do this with regular gluten-free flour blends. It's another reason I really think this blend is special, because you can really treat it like you would a gluten dough. Now, as you can see, we've got 6.5 little bagels, and we are now ready to do the egg wash. Just take an egg. This is what helps give that outside of the bagel a little bit of a chewy texture. It also, if you're using a bagel topping, your toppings will stick better, and it helps get the bagels a little more golden. So just take a pastry brush and just brush the egg mixture on all of your bagels. So I like to bake these at 375, and I am just waiting for the oven to finish heating up, and then I'm gonna bake these, and I will be back when they're all done. All right, y'all, I just got these bagels made with the authentic Steve's blend out of the oven. Check these out. These are perfect bagels. They look like real bagels. Check out that. They look really good. If you tear into them, they have that chewiness. Ooh, you can see all the steam coming up, but look at the inside. It has all that texture that you love in bagels. Anyway, you never know what kind of fun you can have when baking with gluten-free. This flour blend, again, it's gonna be very different from any other flour blend you try in my yeast-free bagel recipe, but there are a lot of great flour blends out there. Sometimes it's just a little bit about exploring the differences. Don't forget, if you are using a different blend, I made another video testing King Arthur measure for measure, so you can kind of see the differences, how I work around those issues of needing more flour, and in other cases, more liquid, just to make that flour blend work in one of my recipes. We'll go over it all in the next video.